to the Counselor's Journey to Private Practice. Juan here, and I am here with Brianna, who's going to share with us her journey in private practice.
Hi, how are you all today?
Good. Now, Brianna, tell me, you and I, we have a private relationship. I know that we worked together in the past, and we're probably about the same age or in that group. Tell me about your journey, like going back to when you got out of graduate school and then you wanted to come into this whole world that we call private practice.
Yeah, so it's been an exciting journey. I think it's been one that I kind of never really pictured how it would play out. But I graduated back in 2016 with a provisional license in marriage and family therapy. From there, I started to work with Juan, and enjoyed that and started to have a few private clients. I also, there is that push to get your hours completed. So within that 3-year gap, so I jumped into working in an agency setting, saw tons and tons and tons of clients. Good, bad, bittersweet experience. Agency setting is definitely unique. So then from there, after I became fully licensed, I also became a supervisor for other licensed marriage and family therapists or provisional, or I could see interns. And then I've been working on creating my own practice. I'm creating it in a private rural community so that way I could continue to meet those gaps that the rural communities desperately need.
Awesome. Yeah, I really like how when you transitioned out of graduate school, I think your mindset was pretty much like all of ours as far as we got to get all of these thousands and thousands of hours. But then I like that niche that you did where you took advantage of that supervision and you added that. I guess you added that as an element of like passive income to be able to.
Yes and no. I charge really low. I think I think it just goes with my whole concept of being a therapist, being an owner of a practice, being a supervisor of students or provisional license of, we all need services and we all need affordable services. And I want to be able to reach as many people as possible. So keeping it affordable, I feel really promotes that ability to do that. And, there's so many things that I wish I had learned in graduate school that when I was granted the opportunity to become an MFT supervisor, right, technically candidate right now, I'm still working through it all. But it was just like, oh man, I could teach these budding therapists the things that I wish I knew in
Yeah.
graduate school, so that way they're best prepared for what their future could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could probably sit down for days or months and talk about all the things I wish I knew in graduate school that would have made navigating, this journey a little bit easier. But I guess maybe we wouldn't be here having this conversation.
True.
That's the counselor part in me, just for a second. Tell me, as far as like you're trying to grow a community practice in this very niche space, you're focused on a rural population. How are you going about that? 'Cause that's a big dream, and I love it.
Yeah, so like I said, when I was in an agency, I was in a rural setting, and I just really, I love the people, and maybe it's my bleeding heart part of my counselor world, but when they were talking about like, I wish I had this, and I wish I had access to this, and I wish we had this here, and it's just like, oh, we could so do that. So, you know, I really wanted to be able to hear the I wishes and
Mhm.
say, okay, we got this. We're going to do this. So I decided back in July of last year that I was going to venture and do this. I spent a lot of time working with Medicaid because they would be a primary funder in a rural community, because that's what most people in a rural community are on. Very rarely do you see private insurance. So I worked with Medicaid to say, what do we need in this area that I can fill those gaps? So once I started to get a clearer picture of that and what the state was up to for other services that I was thinking about, I started to secure down a space. The space for therapy to me was really crucial because it's got to be warm and inviting. And so I fell in love with the space. It's on the second floor of a bank, but you overlook beautiful treetops, and everybody that walks in is just like, oh, it's so peaceful. It's so pretty. I love these big windows. And it helps because there's another piece of with how big my windows are, there's fluorescent lights aren't on. And that actually does help with a lot of people being able to come in and feel more peaceful, surprisingly. It wasn't something I had thought much about, but as more and more people are coming in, that's something I've been experiencing. So I secured a space, and then I started working on how I wanted my space to look, bringing in furniture.
How did you go about that? So let me just backtrack a little bit because I want to pick your brain here.
Yeah.
So you went the route as far as saying, I want a rural-like private practice or agency.
Yeah.
And you were very realistic about it. You said, okay, in my area, my geographic area, the reimbursement, right, the payments are going to be coming through Medicaid. So I need to build those relationships with Medicaid. How did you do that?
So I had some relationships already with this particular Medicaid providing company from prior agency work. But mostly what I did was I just started calling the provider line and speaking to the customer service representatives. I called quite frequently, so they started to know my name, which I don't mind.
Good.
But
Go right to the source.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, it's her again. But they would send me, like, they had graphs and charts of like services that were needed in the area. And then as you progress through, you do get a network provider that you have this one-on-one relationship with and say, hey, so I want to do this, or I'm thinking about this. How do I go about that? That I think is just so crucial in being able to build your space and then continue to grow it and think about what other services can we bring in and what type of licenses can I hire and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like how, one thing I think sometimes that happens when we're going into the journey of private practice is we can just go out there and, see a nice building at some random place and say, okay, that's where I'm going to put my office. But then it comes into question who are you serving? If you know that you want to serve that rural community, then, I think it's having that mindset that you have, Brianna, where it's going, okay, I need to meet them where they're comfortable at. And I need to, accept where that reimbursement's coming in, and then set up my office and in a very structured and organic manner.
Yeah. And also another big piece of it is if you want to be able to have everyone walk in your door, you need to look at the building of, can people in a wheelchair get to you? Or
accessibility, yes.
Yeah, if they need any ambulatory assistance, can they get to you? And that was a really crucial piece for me too, because I wanted my space to be ADA compliant, and you can get to me. So
yeah. How did you go as far as what's the process been like with hiring? I think clinicians out there that it's just a one-man shop or one-person shop. It can be a little bit scary and daunting to hand off your baby to someone else, right?
Yeah. And I think it's twofold, because I think sometimes when we're on our own, I mean, at least me personally, I think sometimes it gets lonely too when you're just by yourself. So the big thing for me was, in my mind, I'm working with my clients going, I have these two other beautiful offices. What am I doing? Why are they sitting empty? So I worked with Medicaid to say, what other things could we need? And so we explored other options of gaps that need filled, like autism work, and what are people having to travel to a more populated
Yeah.
city for, like having to go to Greensboro for psychological evaluations or something like that, of can we put them in my space?
Yeah. Who provided that? Was that provider relations that gave you that feedback?
Yeah, provider. Well, and again, I always start with my network specialist, and she sends
Okay.
me who the right people are to talk to within
Yeah.
Medicaid. And I think it did end up being provider specialists that shared with me that there's nobody in my area that provides it. So yeah, I totally jump on it, and then sent me lists of what is the criteria of the person that needs to be hired has to have, and so posting a position on a few different web job searches and going from there.
Absolutely. Your strategy that you did, that goes back to one of mine where I spoke with my network specialist, I guess that's their name, or provider, one of those. And I told him, I said, I'm a male, I'm Hispanic, and I speak Spanish. And they were so helpful. And, those are things that I wasn't taught in grad school on how to reach out to these individuals that are trained to know what's needed in the community that you want to serve in, versus us kind of just going, how do I just come up with what's needed here?
Yeah. Well, and I think you also have to be very cautious of, as you're trying to build a practice, and if you want it to be, your funding comes through insurance and Medicaid, you have to work with them to make sure that they're willing to pay for that, because there is a big piece of like your catchment area. If somebody's already providing that service, they're likely going to say, no, we're not paying you for that. So
yeah. What have you done to market?
Yeah, so marketing's been always an interesting piece for me.
Yeah, for many of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I've kind of gone a few different directions. I have a social media platform for the company and posting different things, trying to keep people engaged. And of course, you've always got your Google business. And then finding community events where your face can be present. One of the other big things for me was when I was getting established, I worked with a graphic designer who created my logo and created a big part of my logo is a dragonfly. And that's kind of my signature icon. And so I have stickers, I have little temporary tattoos. So it's about that dragonfly, and I want people to start to see that and associate it with me and my company.
Branding.
Yeah. So I think that's crucial, and like kind of being fun with the dragonfly, of changing the colors maybe for a Pride Month and maybe for autism awareness. So the dragonfly can fluctuate, but the shape of my dragonfly is mine.
I like that. I think sometimes when the word comes up as far as market your counseling practice, people right away, from my experience, people right away have this idea of, okay, that means that I'm going to make money right away.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, what you're doing is you're building like a brand and increasing awareness. I like to look at it as like this funnel.
Yeah.
Right. So then if your dragonfly's up there, that's what's leading people to come and see you. And then when they're out in the community and they see a tattoo, right? One of the peel ones, right?
Yeah.
The removal ones. They're like, yeah, that's her.
Yeah. And we posted booths. The community I'm in has a fall jubilee that's a really big deal. So we hosted a booth and raffled off some gift cards. And you had the kids just run around. They wanted the dragonfly tattoos all over their face. And I'm like, yes, you can have as many as you want. You just check with mom and dad that like you don't have picture day tomorrow or something like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I like to work at the community level, but then there's also a big piece of you've got to work with your other providers in the area, your doctor's offices, even like your coffee shops. We just got a great little smoothie shop, so I've gone over there. I get smoothies. I leave my cards. I recently joined the Chamber of Commerce. as another way to have my name in the community. So you've got to make sure you hit your professional levels, because they're really going to be the ones that are going to send the referrals. And, you know, because in a lot of cases, therapy is a scary, hard thing to admit you have to do. So sometimes when your doctor's like, you know, it's time. And by the way, I met this person. She's super awesome. Here's her card. Go see her.
Yeah, it's different than marketing a, I don't know, mechanic practice. Because I mean, my mechanic, he'll get your car looking good ASAP. Right?
Yeah.
You don't hear that in the community and going, you know, someone say, we're at the brink of divorce, but go see Brianna and she'll get you there. And sometimes those are very private, you know, topics. But I love the way that you integrated the, you know, the kids and they've got their, you know, the dragonfly. Because I remember when I would do a little more community booths and I would set up, my thought would always be like, okay, what can I give people? Yes, stress balls or pencils or pens, but you know, what can I highlight to be fun, to be interactive? And I think you did it. You hit the nail on the head. Good job. It's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been a great experience. It certainly doesn't come with its up and downs. And I would say, you know, anybody who's looking at starting a practice, whether it be a solo private practice or a group practice or community mental health like I'm doing, I think the big thing is that, you know, don't get discouraged. You're going to have to pivot. Things are going to change. Things are going to not go exactly as planned, but pivot and keep going, because you're doing exactly what you want to be doing, and you know that you have a good direction and you know what people need. So just keep pivoting, because you've totally got this. It's just not easy and it's scary.
Yeah. You took the end scene from me, but I
Sorry.
appreciate it. You did it beautifully. It's amazing. You're absolutely right. You know, just keep going. In Spanish, we're big on saying "sigue pa'lante," and then which means just keep moving forward. And that's a big motto that I like to live by. You know, move forward, fall down, get up, learn, overcome. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Brianna, you know your stuff when it comes to building a practice, and I'm excited that you're building this community agency. I always like to see counselors and clinicians out there that are supporting just different, you know, diverse populations, marginalized populations, people just out there doing an amazing job. If there's a counselor out there listening and they want to pick your brain on what exactly did you talk to that network provider about to land you a contract, or how did you come up with the idea of a logo? Maybe who you hire for your logo. How can they reach you?
So you can call me at 336-908-3927. You can always go to my website. It's irenictherapy.com, and it's IRENIC therapy.com. Or you can email me at info@irenictherapy.com.
Awesome. And then I'll have all that on the show notes so you guys can check it out. Thank you for being here, Brianna. Have an amazing day.
You too. Thank you.